What's going on, Boxing Heads? It's PYP Boxing with some more boxing news, talking about Canelo Munguia, the press conference. Mark, you got a chance to watch it. So did I. Looked like to me Canelo was clearly annoyed with the presence of one Oscar de la Hoya. Was it just me, or did it look like Canelo was a little bit disturbed having the Golden Boy on the podium getting camera time?
Oh no, he was clearly pissed off, and Oscar knew it, and Oscar loved every minute of it. You could tell afterwards he was gloating, he loved it. Look, man, one of the very first things that Oscar did for this fight was negotiate his seat at in front of the camera. That was the first thing that was negotiated. Why? Because in the last fight with PBC and Golden Boy, he was pretty much shut out, shoved in a corner. Everybody made a big deal because he didn't go to the press conference. This time around, he's like, nah, you guys ain't doing that to me again. I'm going to be front and center. I'm going to be talking, and I'm going to be making noise. And I think it's a good decision. Nobody can sell a fight like Golden Boy right now. PBC can't. They don't have the mouthpiece. They don't have somebody that can stand up there and be an Oscar de la Hoya. But yeah, Canelo was pissed. And afterwards, with all the interviews and everything, Oscar seemed to be loving it. And Canelo did not like all the questions that came with that afterwards. The very first question he came out and got coming out of that press conference was, how did you feel standing next to Oscar de la Hoya and having to sit there? And his response was, I don't like that type of person. He starts talking about Oscar and this and that. My team and PBC put this fight together and this and that. But Oscar obviously has a hand in it. I mean, he has to make decisions. He owns the other side of the company. But all good for Oscar. All bad for Canelo because he's pissed, and maybe all bad for Munguia because Canelo's pissed.
Mark, Canelo also made some interesting remarks in some of the side interviews. He was asked about a quote by Mike Tyson, who expressed he was disappointed that the Benavidez fight didn't come to fruition. Canelo had a really interesting response to that, something to the effect of, I would respect his opinion if he was sober. Hitting him below the belt there a little bit. I thought Canelo had a pretty good relationship with Tyson, and he was on his show. So I was a little surprised to hear Canelo bite back at that. But Canelo is that dude. He can be a little bitter. If you say something that gets on his nerves, he's going to let you know. Also, another thing that he mentioned in one of the questions about Benavidez, and Canelo said something to the effect of, well, Benavidez has nothing to offer him, right? And I think that's true. I think he has a really good point. There is no fighter on the planet that can really offer Canelo anything. The money that Canelo will get for any fight is because of Canelo, not because of any other fighter. There is no other fighter that brings what he brings to the table. But then he said something about 150 million to 200 million. That's what it would take to get him in the ring. I don't know if he meant that literally. What do you think?
I think it was a little bit of tongue in cheek, but maybe he does feel a little bit. We all know how prideful he is, and we all know, his honor in boxing and what he thinks of himself. And this guy's the cash king and the face of boxing and the most talented guy probably in the world besides Crawford and Inoue. He should get some of that money too. So I don't see it too far fetched, but I think it was more tongue in cheek because he was pissed off. But maybe a little bit of him does want to make that. I don't think it's far fetched. He should get it.
Yeah, hey, asking you shall receive. Maybe he's putting a bug in the ear of Turkey.
Maybe he's planting the seed. Yeah.
Trying to see if the Saudis are coming knocking, and he's letting them know what it'll take to open
At
the
the
door.
end, yeah.
Also, some news earlier this week, we had Keith Thurman had to pull out of the Tim Tszyu fight, replaced by Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora is 21-1, and he's stepping in for the injured Keith Thurman. I'm getting the feeling that you're not a fan. I feel the opposite. I'm actually now more intrigued about this fight than I was Thurman. I guess we already got your answer. Is this fight an upgrade? Yes or no?
You know what? I wasn't even too happy with Thurman and Tszyu being a pay-per-view. Thurman and Tszyu is not good. Nobody in America knows who Tszyu is except hardcore boxing fans anyway. And hardcore boxing fans know who Thurman is. But let's be honest, in the United States, you could probably say he's not one of the most known boxers. So that one sucked. Now we're getting this one replaced with Sebastian Fundora. I don't like that one either. That guy's coming off a loss. Good luck with that pay-per-view, man. I was watching most of the guys' comments. Man, this is a laughable fight to be a pay-per-view. To be a pay-per-view, it's
Yeah, no,
laughable.
no, I 100%.
Good luck. Good luck with that, Amazon.
I never thought uh, Thurman and Zoo was supposed to be a pay per view in the first place. But
Yeah,
now I'm
no.
looking at the pay per view as a whole, right? As a whole, because I'm when I buy pay per views, I like to see other fights. I don't just pay for the main event. I want to watch the undercard. I want to watch prelim bouts. I want to see the other fights on there. That's how I determine whether a pay per view is worth it. While I was very down on this pay per view initially, I'm starting to feel like I will get this pay per view. And let me tell you why, man. First of all, I wasn't down with Thurman because there's a man who's fought twice in 4 years. He's 35 years old. He would have been the smaller fighter in the ring. Plus, his style. I mean, I don't see him really going toe to toe with Tim Tszyu. I see him kind of dancing around, trying to keep his distance. However, Fundora is a 6'6", 154 pounder, pretty much an action fighter. The guy can crack, loves to fight toe to toe, and it's a very different style than what Keith Thurman would have brought to the ring. He's coming off a knockout loss to Brian Mendoza that was last April. He hasn't been in the ring since. We don't really know how this guy's going to respond to being knocked out for the first time. But Mark, something that made this fight kind of interesting also. Bud Crawford has been named the WBO mandatory for the 154-pound belt. The WBC belt will also be on the line. So you've got two 154-pound titles on the line in this matchup. Bud Crawford is now the mandatory for one of those belts. He could possibly be in line to get two belts at 154 pounds against the winner of this fight. That makes it a little bit intriguing as well for me. What do you think about that angle? Are you interested in seeing Bud fight the winner?
I don't even think Bud's gonna fight the winner. Once again, I was watching Matchroom Boxing right now. They don't think that Bud wants it either because there is no way in hell that they're gonna be able to give him what he wants and sell it with a Tim Tszyu, unless it's in Australia. But even in Australia, I'm being told the money that this guy's gonna want is just going to price him out of it. And I think he wants to price himself out of it because at this point, a legend, a generational talent like Crawford deserves better. And he feels like big money fights, and that's it. So I don't think we're
Well,
going to see
that's
that.
interesting because even out of Bud Crawford's mouth, he's mentioned Tim Tszyu as being a possible opponent. He's put himself in this place with the WBO. He's requested to be in this spot. So he's doing it for a reason. All I know is I would like to see it. If it happens, I think Bud against the winner would be an interesting fight. If he's planning to retire, then retire, because if all he's doing is waiting for Canelo, I really don't see that happening either.
An
Anyway,
interesting thing on that to add is yesterday, late after all the Benavides bashing and everything that Canelo did, Crawford did actually come out and put himself out there again, basically begging for the fight last night, telling people he's not bigger than me. I got longer arms. He wants it. I think he deserves it. And that further tells me he is 100% not interested in 154.
he's doing this for a reason. He put himself in line to be the mandatory at 154 pounds for a reason. Canelo doesn't fight at 154 pounds, so there's something more to it. Anyway, I like the way this pay-per-view is rounding out with Fundora moving on to the main event against Tim Tszyu, Mark. That left Boacek with an open slot, and now it turns out that Brian Mendoza, who was helping Keith Thurman prepare for Tim Tszyu in sparring, and he's in shape, and he'll be fighting Boacek. That fight got downgraded to the prelim, but that's still a good fight for me. I think that's going to be a really good fight. Also, we have Julio Cesar Martinez. He got bumped up to the pay-per-view televised card. This card is rounding out to be really interesting. So I might just go ahead and buy it.
The card is excellent. I've said it since day one. Amazon Prime is putting stars on there. Yeah, but Thurman fell off, but we still got the Zidane Lara fight, the
Yes.
Romero Cruz, Elijah
Yes.
Garcia. I do remember Elijah Garcia. His last outing was really, really good. I remember that. We were talking about that.
Looks
now.
like he's going to
I
be a
picked
good
up on
guy,
it.
man.
Yeah. Brian Mendoza, all of these fights are 50-50 fights. Julio Cesar Martinez should be able to take care of business and Tim Tszyu, but they matched them all up pretty well. I like it.
Yeah. So hey,
I just don't
that's
like
not,
that it's a pay-per-view.
right. No, 100% agree. Maybe this should have been, or it should have been maybe a special priced event. I think I might dig in my pockets for this event. Mark,
Yeah.
one thing you don't have to dig in your pockets for this weekend, Oscar Valdez will be fighting Liam Wilson on ESPN Plus. Of course, if you already have a subscription, you don't have to dig in your pockets anymore because you're already paying for it. Valdez is coming off a unanimous decision loss to Navarrete, and he's looking to get back in the mix at 130 pounds. He will be doing it against Liam Wilson, also a Navarrete victim. Last time I watched Wilson, he had been stopped by Navarrete. He has had 2 straight decision wins since. Feels like a good comeback fight for both.
Yeah, heck yeah. And what I do want to see is from both of these guys, if they have anything left in the tank to maybe get a couple of payday fights here in the future. But I want to see what both of them have left. You know, it's a good gauge for both of them to see if they're going to continue and if they can still fight at a high level. Oscars and well, both of these guys are in a very tough division. 130 is tough. 130 is full of monsters, and I want to see if these guys have what it takes to continue. So it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, and the winner could be in line against Oshaki Foster. Oshaki
Mm-hmm.
Foster is going to be watching this fight very closely, although he's possibly moving up to 135. I know he said he wants one more fight at 130 pounds. Could be the winner of this fight. Also, Mark,
Mm-hmm.
the co-feature that night will be the WBC, WBA, and Ring Magazine champ, Seniesa Estrada, super bad. She will be facing the WBO IBF champ, Yocasta Valle, for all the marbles. This will be for Undisputed. Mark, this fight's been brewing for a while. We actually got a chance to talk to Yoka Valle. She really wanted this fight. Seniesa really wanted this fight. I think some injuries got in the way before. It's finally happening. Women's boxing has champions fighting champions. It's a very exciting time. What do you think of this fight?
Man, this is going to be a really good fight. Honestly, this should be the main event. Um, Anissa Estrada is good, man. She's got probably better skills, more talent. I believe she's a little bit more athletic, but I just believe Yocasta Valle, in my eyes, wants it more, and she's got more to fight for, and she's got a wonderful, wonderful team behind her, man. And she used to work with Jay Panda, and I just think that she's got a really good corner. I think that the corner is going to make a big difference here. Shout out to Coach G, Miss G.
Coach G. Yeah, shout out to Coach G.
Coach G, yeah, Coach G. Shout out to Coach G. We're pulling for you here, man. I got Yocasta Valle winning a tough one. I think Yocasta Valle learned a lot from her last outing, having a rough and tough affair. Yocasta, I think, is gonna, make it a little rough and tough for Senisa, and I believe she'll take it over with the help of Miss G.
Yeah, I think in that fight against Anabel Ortiz, Yoka made some adjustments around the middle of the fight. Anabel Ortiz was making it rough on her. She fought through it. She adjusted. And I think Seniesa has the edge in speed. I think she's a little bit quicker with the hands. Should be a good one. It's definitely a grudge match. These ladies do not like each other very much, but it's going to be a good fight. So everybody tune in for that. It's going to be late, though, Mark. Since it's in Arizona, apparently this fight's going to start, for me on the East Coast, it's going to be 11 p.m. at night. You, Central Standard Time, it's going to be 10 p.m. That's a pretty late night at the fights.
Yeah, these fights in that state have been running late, all of them.
Yeah,
I
man.
remember the last one as well. I don't know what it is about that because even when they're in Vegas, they adjust the time. Somebody's got to tell this new boxing state, hey, this ain't the way you do it, guys.
You know what? And it would, yeah, no doubt about that. But it wouldn't be so bad if the time in between the bouts, if they didn't drag that on so much. Like once the fight is over, give them 10 minutes and bring another fight in or less. We don't need 20 minutes of listening to the announcers and the broadcasters, man. Like, hey, I want to watch the fights, bro. Put the fights on. As long as the time in between the fights isn't too long, maybe we can get a decent night's sleep.
Yeah. What is going on in Glendale, man? Dude, maybe they're not participating in daylight savings like the rest of the country. What the fuck is going on over there? But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, it should be a great night of fighting, man.
for sure, bro. Well, hey, that's it, man. We will see you later. Let us know, what are you looking forward to? Do you think Fundora is a good replacement for Keith Thurman? Hit us up on the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Mark, we'll see you on the next one. Hit him with that 3-punch combo. We haven't done that in a while, bro.
1, 2, 3.
Look at that.
Boom. See
Yeah,
how I got that
brought
back
him
up
back.
there?
It brought him
I'm on the
back.
telephone, baby. I'm on the telephone. I'm on the phone at all times.
Putazos y pendejadas.